got 15. What? We're now starting public forum. Other speakers? Well, it looked like we got a problem. Can we pull it up on the computer? All right. Victoria Griffin? Yep. So we have 16 speakers, so we're going to limit it to 2 minutes. What's our first speaker?
Victoria Griffin.
Victoria Griffin. Please just state your name for the record, Ms. Griffin.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Commissioners, the landowners on the Outpost Bayou Townhomes, they want out. But the only way for them to get out of owning the land is if the developers who agree to buy the land, that they can secure a plan to build. The engineers are getting pressured to pass anything, regardless if it is best for our community. These people are not concerned about the footprint that they leave behind. They are not concerned about the long-term issues with flooding, noise, higher crime, our property values going down. They are accusing the county of saying the county will not allow them to build, when this is not the case. The county has asked them about building homes on the property, and they said no. Why? The issues we're bringing up are real, not some emotional plea to keep our green space, but real issues these people do not understand. They come down from Chicago and Missouri and are only interested in making profit. Last week, December 10th, 2022, of the Pensacola News Journal, it was stated that 10 of the priciest homes sold in Pensacola area, one of which was $12 million. It's in the paper. If the developers built homes like this, they would still make a profit, and many of the issues we have bringing up would not exist. Right now, I have to be concerned that if the plan is accepted, that 15 feet away from my fence line, a huge holding pond will be behind my home, and I will have to worry about our home being destroyed after each heavy rain event. Please do not let this happen.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Shirley Tinley.
Hi, I am wondering about the repavement of Sorrento Road. The order came in and started, and then just before Thanksgiving, they left. And we still have several sections that are the D- grade that haven't been dealt with. And they did put the little bumps along the side and down the middle, but then they left. And we still have potholes and rough spots and things that people are trying to dodge still. I just wondered why they left before finishing the entire project.
There's multi-stages to that, and they're also going to add a stoplight at Doug Ford Drive, so they'll probably be coming back after, but we have a TPO meeting next week, and I'll find out, and then at the next public forum, I'll let you know what I found
Okay,
out.
because the two sections we have are between Blue Angel and Bower Road.
Right.
So it doesn't have anything to do with Bower.
It's a horrible road. It's
Yeah.
terrible, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Tinley. Our next speaker will be Ralph Tinley.
Good evening. I'm Ralph Tilney. I live at 14502 Interlarity. That was my wife that was just speaking a moment ago. What I really came up here to say is thank you, Commissioner Burgosh, for not letting our flood issues fall between the cracks. And you should know that your county engineers are really doing a crackerjack job. They're responsive, they're courteous, lots of good things there. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tinley. Sorry. Our next speaker will be former councilperson Sherry Myers. Welcome, councilperson.
It's good to see you all again.
Good to see you.
So the reason I'm here, I wanted to start early before you start on your budget process for 2024, to talk to you about a very serious issue, and that is a severe cat overpopulation in this county. And I'm going to be coming here frequently and talking about this issue. Over the last 8 years, I myself have trapped 300 cats and had them spayed and neutered at my expense. In the past year, I have taken approximately 100 cats, and we're talking about community cats that don't have a home. I've trapped them and driven them to Ocean Springs, Mississippi. People are not able to get low-cost spaying and neutering in this county, and especially for community cats. But look, this problem is only going to get worse. But thankfully, we have some great models from other cities that are addressing this issue very effectively, but it takes political will. So what I'm going to do is send all of you an ordinance from Jacksonville, Florida, and how they have dealt with the community cat population issue. It's complicated, but honestly, I think we can do this. So I'm just getting started early because actually I'm here about money. It's always about money,
Oh,
right?
thank you,
Everything
councilperson. We
do.
appreciate you being here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Our next speaker will be Nancy Housecat. I'm sorry. Houseneck, yes, ma'am.
Hear about the same issue that Ms. Myers is speaking about. I live in Escambia County. I've lived here for 31 years. And in my neighborhood, we have an increase in feral cat population. I, too, have trapped over 100 cats in the past 4 years. I live off Scenic Highway. I pay for it out of my own pocket. I transport the cats to Panama City and Mississippi because we don't have anything here in Escambia County. We no longer have the Barbara Grace Clinic that we used to be able to go to. It takes an act of God to get an animal into our local animal shelter. I was walking my dogs last fall in my local park in my neighborhood in Woodcliff, and I had 3 dogs. I wear a headlamp so I don't trip over things at night, and all I could see were little eyes. There were 9 kittens, very hungry little kittens, barely surviving, 2 mothers that were running up to me and my dogs for food. That's crazy. We shouldn't have that kind of problem in Escambia County. What I've read online is that in order to have a low-cost clinic in your area, you have to have at least 250,000 people, the population, to support a clinic that would spay and neuter 50 to 80 cats a day. We have over 250,000 people living in Escambia County. So I don't see why somehow we can't get the funds to do
Nancy,
this.
thank you. Your time is up. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Our next speaker will be Shirley Price. I'm sorry, Shirley. I apologize.
That's quite all right. We have some handouts here, and let me get a PowerPoint started. Okay, my name is Shirley Pierce. I live at 1385 Finley Drive. I am here in opposition to the proposed Outpost Bayou rental complex and would like to compare and contrast Governor's Gate Apartments with this proposal. Governor's Gate entrance is on a main road, University Parkway. It does not go through existing single-family neighborhoods. Outpost Bayou will open on West Side Drive, a street intersecting multiple streets of single-family homes. The life safety entrance of Governor's Gate is on Johnson Avenue near Whitmire Cemetery. It has fencing and a locked gate to limit pedestrian access from Johnson Avenue. The life safety entrance for Outpost Bayou is proposed on Finley Drive between 2 homes. Please note on these plans there is absolutely no fence or buffer zone to limit access to and from Finley Drive with these amenity parcels. Governor's Gate green space exists between numerous buildings. You can see the Google Maps on the left and photographs on the right. Compare this to the plan for Outpost Bayou, where there is little to no green space between their buildings. As you can see, it appears to be mostly pavement. In conclusion, Governor's Gate fits the area of high water tables in existing single-family neighborhoods with large buffer zones, plenty of green space, and fencing to prevent pedestrian access from Johnson Avenue. On the other hand, Outpost Bayou does not appear to fit the area, as it has narrow buffer zones abutting existing single-family neighborhoods, is severely lacking in green space needed for stormwater management in an area of high water tables, and has not utilized fencing to prevent access to and from Findlay.
Thank you so much. Next speaker will be Elizabeth Irby. Go right ahead, ma'am.
I'm Elizabeth Irby, and I hope you are listening. I, too, have been working diligently, probably for 30 years, trying to help animals in our community. Our community is going backwards when it comes to helping dogs and cats. This happens to be a very important issue to me. Volunteers are paying out of pocket to have animals spayed and neutered in other states. Ocean Springs, Mississippi, Dothan, Alabama, Panama City, driving long hours, staying all day, and then having to drive back. I'd like to know what you, as a group of commissioners, are going to do about this. I understand you have discretionary funds that you are able to make decisions to use in various ways. I would like to think that this would be something important to all of you. We had a humane society, but due to the lack of proper, I guess you'd say, someone who was in charge was not doing their job. God only knows what's happened over there, because there's been lots of money donated, and they don't seem to know where it is. Anyway, you give somebody a little bit of power, and the next thing you know, they're abusing it. I do know this. I care about people as well. I go to a homeless place often. I care about animals a lot, too. And I would like to know what each and every one of you will consider doing to help this situation. We have a
Ms. Irby, your
building.
time is up. You go
Well-
ahead, if you just go ahead and finish.
We have a building at the Humane Society that was used as a clinic for 4 years, and it did very well. But for some reason or another, the vets kept leaving. So what does that tell you? Poor management. So anyway, we have a building, we just need a vet, and we
Thank
need
you
you
so
guys
much.
to do something.
Thank you so much, Ms. Irby.
Thank
Your
you.
time is up. Carolyn Tramble? Carolyn?
Good evening. My name Carolyn Trumbull, and I'm here to speak on the behalf of Minnie Bell Deuce, the Deuce family, off of 95A, which is my grandmother is Minnie Bell, and all the roads that y'all done built and paid, they're owned by my grandmother. That land go back over 100 years. Daisy May Clark, David Bell, you guys sent a survey up there. What the survey for? We want compensation, and if you don't give us, we're gonna have to close it down. We don't want to do this, but we must, because if it was you guys' land, you would do the same thing. Now, we not heard from you guys yet about this. All I want is my mama and my uncle to live like y'all live. That's all I want, and I want them to be compensated, because like I said, you got Henrietta Dukes, Davis, and you got Hattie East Dukes, Davis. All of them is family, sister and brother. All that land, all that land that you guys got, made them roads off it, it's owned by the Dukes family. And all I ask is all you guys to compensate my family. That's all I ask. And I want to hear from you guys, because this is my third time coming here. All I ask, and you're going to keep on seeing me, and there's no law against us closing it down, because I have the deeds.
Your time is up, Ms. Will you go ahead and finish up? You can go ahead and finish, but.
Okay, I have the deeds. We done paid property taxes every year. Now, it's time for y'all to pay those, because we done paid property tax. in
Thank
that
you,
land.
Mr. Trample. I
Thank
appreciate it. Thank you
Y'all
for
have a
being
good
here.
day.
Yes, ma'am. Jerry Price.
Well, you guys look all like you all made it to this year. I'd like to talk about no panhandling at the intersection of Mobile Highway and New Warrington Road. I know that other cities and other counties have instituted no panhandling ordinances. And it's probably very unpopular with each of you here sitting in the chairs due to trying to get reelected on the next term. And I think that's something you got to put aside. And this homeless situation is getting pretty drastic. I don't know what the real answers are for it. I stand on the side of property rights, business and personal. And we got Jackson Street renovation coming through. I live at the corner of Gulf Street and Jackson Street, 1 block west of New Warrington Road. I don't want parked cars parked in front of my house. My neighbor just got robbed, $2,000, about 3 weeks ago.
Can you start wrapping up, Mr. Price? Your time's gone.
But the intersection, if you guys could take a look at this and see what you could do, be very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Paul Langford.
Good evening. My name is Paul Langford. I live at 9154 Wood Run Road in Pensacola. And I'm speaking here tonight to request that the commission and any developers at the Outpost Bayou development area work together to avoid increasing any downstream flood potential due to this development. The proposed development is currently between two streams, Thompson Bayou Stream and one that's unnamed. These two streams flow together immediately behind my house. In the 2014 flood event, our home was flooded. 8 years later, as a consequence of rains during Hurricane Sally, racing waters flowed up within a foot to entering my house again. So we'll be directly impacted if there's any increased runoff from this subdivision, and it's going to be immediately apparent to us.
Paul, we begin to close up. You only have about 15 more seconds.
All right. We have very little margin, so any additional potential is going to be a practical concern for us. So I'm sincerely requesting that the commission and the county and the developers consider all the ethical and legal implications of adversely affecting any existing neighborhoods,
Thanks, Paul.
regardless of the construction. So
Thank you so much, Paul. We appreciate you.
thank you.
Our
Please apply.
next speaker will be Anita Gaynard.
Good afternoon, Anita Gaynard, 1390.
Gaynard, I'm sorry.
Gaynard, I married it, you can, however. 1395 Finley Drive. I'm here about opposition to Outpost Bayou, or whatever it's called. So I wanted to just say that this is an issue, it's for us right now, but this is really affects every one of you commissioners and every one of the people in the county. Because, for example, the same developer is about to develop again over by Sorrento Road in Chairman Bagash's district, and I'm sure as soon as he buys the next property, he may come in your district, Mr. Berry in your district. I mean, it's not just for us, it's for all of us. We need to stop looking at the developments by themselves. We look at it, here's the development, yes, it's there, no problem, it looks great, but they fail to go and look at the surrounding neighborhoods and see how's it going to impact it. For example, if you doubt it, go down there and look at Penn Air's new credit union. It's 15 feet, the lights are shining down into the people right next door, because you put a buffer, but the light is right on the property line. The people can't even sleep in their bedroom. And they could have taken that same building and said, hey, put it over there beside the other Pen Air building, and it wouldn't even have impacted the people that have been living there for all these years. So I know I'm probably out of time, so I just want to say, please quit looking at it in isolation. Look at everything. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nita. Thanks so much. Chris Kerr. Happy New Year, Chris.
Happy New Year, Commissioner. Chris Kerr, Flood Defenders. I've been asked to come up here and speak about Outpost Bayou from a stormwater flooding perspective, and I've been coming up here talking about flooding, making it a higher priority for almost 2 years now, and trying to be proactive on watershed or basin study approach for stormwater. Focus your basin studies on projects, permitting, planning, and growth management. Scenic Hills had a basin study done in 1990, the county had a basin study done in 1994, where this Outpost Bayou development is located in the Thompson Bayou Tributary B. And that basin study, it evaluated 100-year design storm. Well, what is a 100-year design storm? A 100-year design storm is 1 in 100 chance or probability or 1% chance that you'll have a rain event of that magnitude. Well, there's even a still bigger debate on what a 100-year storm is, because we have DOT that has published in their Exhibit E of their drainage manual that a 100-year storm for a 24-hour duration is 13.44 inches. But then we have NOAA Atlas 14 that says it's supposed to be 16.2 inches. Well, for a 100-year 4-hour, it's 7.6 versus 8.17. And for a 100-year 8-hour storm, it's 9.6 versus 10.75 inches. What does all this mean? Well, you got Wood Run subdivision at the bottom of the hill, and there's about 500 acres in this basin that drains through Wood Run, and there's 3 bridge culverts crossings in that subdivision. Well, in 1994, your basin study says these are all under capacity. Well, right now you have a project to fix one of those, but you still got 2 other ones. Point being is there's a lot of water coming through there. It's an accumulative thing. It's not just the 28 acres of the development. It's a cumulative thing.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker will be Charles Luther.
Yeah, good evening. So we're just looking forward to a better year. Last year was a terrible year in Escambia County. Again, the murder of the unborn in our county. Now I realize, and you know, that the abortion mill is suspended. But you know, I'm not hearing any of our civil magistrates in our county speak to this. There's a court hearing in less than 2 weeks concerning this, and no one's giving their opinion. Do you not care that human beings are murdered? Do you not hold in your authority the agreement to the Constitution of the United States that in the 14th Amendment says that all humans shall have life given as a right? So I'm here, listen, flooding is an issue. Cats are an issue, and everything else, and I commend anybody here that is trying to better society. We're all going to be accountable for what we do, but when it comes to these issues of murder, the murder of the unprotected, the ones that have no voice, that child in the womb, we need to hear the civil magistrates speak out. You are our governors. That's what the website of Escambia County Commissioners, that's what it states. You're the governors of our county. Governorship speaks of sovereignty. It speaks, of course, to leadership of an area, of a people.
Well, you have about 15 seconds.
Has,
Would you
yeah,
close it down?
thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So Christ is the only answer. I just beg all of you to look to him, that you would be saved, you would repent and have faith in him, and begin, because it's going to be a fearful day when you stand before him, not having said anything concerning the murder of the unborn.
Thank you, Charles. Will Smith.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. He couldn't have said it any better, because my reason for coming down here tonight, because I would like to make a proposal that all elected officials act as if though the thing that he just mentioned is affecting all the community, not just some particular one, but all of Escambia County. Just like last night on television, they had this little old lady that was out there fearful for her life. She can't sleep at night. Gang violence, things of this nature, murder, as if though it's not being acknowledged. Drug dealing. Police drive by it every day, know what's going on. Don't do anything about it. The cleanup in the communities. These are things that need to be acknowledged. But see, the thing I look at is though, it appears to me as if though, if it's not affecting you or your family, it doesn't even matter. We need some kind of concern, consideration when it comes to our people being murdered, children being killed, grandmother and grandparents are being killed by drive-by people, and then the investigation and things of this nature is not taking place. You don't see any follow-up. If it is, it's not being advertised so people can help each other along the way. See, because we're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to care for one another. We're not supposed to act as if though it's not actually happening, because it is happening here in Escambia County. And something needs to be implemented, whereas some of this stuff can...
Well, you have about 10 seconds if you close it
Okay.
down.
My proposal is that take some initiative, put yourself in the same position, and then that way something can be done about it. Because as long as it don't affect you, it's still affecting your brothers and sisters in Christ near and far.
Amen.
And I thank you.
Thank you, Will. Next speaker, Dan Danford.
Happy New Year, gentlemen. I appreciate your time today. Many of you know me, of course. I project hydrology, flood mitigation, infrastructure solutions. I appreciate the time and the efforts which you've given me, especially working with Rob McCracken, you know, and our designs of what we're trying to do differently. This is not what I'm looking for. I have a presentation for you. And anyway, and so I have an answer for you. I have an answer to your flooding issues. First, I want to say Happy New Year.
Happy New
Thanks,
Year.
guys, for being here. But real short, because I know you're stressed on time today, and I respect everybody's time. We have an answer for your flood mitigation issues. All your ponds, and it's not EGRP, it's an automated weir. Can someone help me get this open real quick so I can just show a picture? This
Staff,
presentation.
can we, somebody, Sharon, can you help?
And so it's an automated weir. And so what you do right now is when you release water, you release it from a static pond that then tips over when it's full. What we do and what we're doing for Taco Bell and other large developments is we have an automated weir, much like the valves that the utility company sends water to your house. We do the same thing with stormwater. We regulate that flow, and so you can release water along the way so you don't get these big releases. Yes, and we can release the peak flow discharge by 50%. We can reduce the peak flow discharge by 50%. And in doing that, we can also reduce the pond footprint. So we can grow, here it is right here, we can grow land. We can make a bigger building, bigger parking lot, a bigger structure, and you can control that water. So there's a solution for a lot of these challenges you guys have. And as you move forward in 2023, I know you're pressed by this, and you heard it today. Remember, I said it one time, you're trapped in an old infrastructure. Look at this automation. You got automation through the buildings and the sheriff's department. This is a new way for you to approach it with water, okay?
Dan, you got about 5 seconds if you
Sure,
finish
I
up.
appreciate Taco Bell, the Sheriff's Department in Homewood. Here's where we lowered the base flood elevation in Birmingham, Alabama by 3 feet, removing the road and houses from a floodway. No one's ever said that in this room, I promise you, gentlemen, and I want to come back. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. I'd love to get with you and the administrator one day and have a meeting. So
I would love to have
yeah,
it.
just
Thank you.
call my office or check with my aide.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
so much.
Thank y'all so much. And,
Next speaker will be Gene
appreciate
Brown.
what you do.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes,
We appreciate
sir.
it. Get,
Thank
get with my office. They're here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Good afternoon, Chairman May, Commissioners, and everyone. I'm Jean Brown of 1475 Finley Drive for 54 years. I oppose the Outpost Bayou Townhome Rental Project. The HDMU zoning district. Outpost Bayou Development is zoned HDMU, which allows 25 dwelling units per acre. That's the one thing that tells Matrix Property Services they can construct 157 Outpost Bayou townhomes on this property. There are many code rules that tell Matrix they cannot construct Outpost Bayou here, that they must do certain things, that they cannot do certain things, they must follow exact specifications. The decisions cannot be made out of fear. Whether you are elected, appointed, or hired, the decision on Outpost Bayou townhomes cannot be made out of fear. Everyone who has a voice or vote to approve or deny this application must act with courage, principle, responsibility, and fairness to everyone involved. That is your duty. The consequences are far too profound to the residents of Finley Drive, JoJo Road, Westside Drive, and Wood Run. You have the comprehensive plan, the land development code, and the design standards manual as your defense. Stand up for what is right. We, your constituents, depend upon you. And I do want to say that I appreciate all that you do, the staff, the DRC, their knowledge and their research amazes me. I appreciate it. You all have so much to do. I don't see how you keep up with all.
Thanks so much, Gene. God bless. Next speaker will be Josh Luther.
I'm done?
Yes, ma'am.
That was only my first page. I've got 2 more pages.
Oh, you got to come back next Thursday. Thanks, Gene.
Oh, remember Finley JoJo?
Good evening.
Josh.
Good evening. God in His Word says that He's chosen the foolishness of this world to confound the wise of this world, and by God's grace, I'm a part of that foolishness that He has chosen. God has commanded leaders to open their mouths for those who cannot speak for themselves. And just here reminding you of that duty, how many hundreds of preborn boys and girls have been murdered in our county. And we're hoping, and you will be judged by God for silence on this matter. I just like to say to those who much has been given, much will be required. God has given you this authority and this power, and you are much more responsible in how you use it. And by God's grace, He has allowed our family to adopt a medically needy child and to hopefully improve her life. He's given us grace to help her, and we're looking to adopt another and bless her. But y'all have so much more power, so much more abilities, and again, I urge you to use them to protect the innocent, to bring justice in our county.
Thank you, Mr. Luther. Thank you so much. What's the next one? Ben Watson. Ben Watson. Ben, I'm sorry. They said you want to speak on the agenda item. I apologize. I apologize, Ben. Yes, sir. We are. You'll be able to speak at the meeting at the agenda item. With that, we stand adjourned.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, just one thing. Horace, for the people that are here for the Outpost Bayou, there is a preliminary hearing on Wednesday, January 11th, 1 p.m. Is that correct?
I believe the date is January the 10th, next Wednesday.
Wednesday is the 11th.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, thank you.
All right, so
Yes.
it is next Wednesday?
It is next Wednesday, yes.
Wednesday, the 11th, at 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, yes. The meeting starts at 1. The case may not be heard, but the meeting definitely starts at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Anita, if you can just come up.
Are we allowed to make a presentation there or make the discussion at that meeting? Do you know? And if so, is it limited or can we make the presentation?
There are limitations, but you will be allowed to speak.
Yep, if y'all have any questions, Hards, would you get with them after this meeting's over? Yep, Hards will be available to answer any questions. We stand adjourned. And we're about to start too, man. Board of County Commissioners regular meeting January 5th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate, silence, or the off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 2 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow for sufficient time for speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board and the board only. Invocation, Commissioner Berry.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask a friend of mine and a friend of yours if you might come forward and do the prayer. Pastor Bill Flanagan from Plainview Baptist Church.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful today that we can come and have this forum. We are invoking a blessing tonight. Lord, our heart is to do the right thing. We pray your guidance. Lord, there's a lot of problems out in this world today. Help us have some semblance of peace, Lord, direction, and we ask for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. The pledge, Commissioner Bagash.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Pastor Flanagan is on his way to a place you're very familiar with, going to watch a basketball game at Alethea.
All right.
So, but I appreciated making some time to come down and visit.
We appreciate it. My daughter spent many days at Alethea Christian, and so we appreciate everything that y'all have done at Alethea. Make sure they win, Pastor. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
Nothing from me, Mr. Chairman?
No, sir.
All right. Wes?
Nothing from you? Or do you have
Commissioner-
that?
No, I have nothing to add.
No, sir.
Commissioner Berry?
Do you have one? Oh, yes, sir, it's been added. Okay, I'm sorry. No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Move the agenda.
Second.
Please vote. You have to vote manually. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you so much. Commissioners Forum, Commissioner Bagash.
Well, first, I want to welcome all the citizens to tonight's meeting, the first meeting of the year. I want to wish everyone a very happy new year. I want to commend our staff who, during the holiday period, responded to several emergency situations with some ruptured pipes and some flooding. They came out this morning, and we recognized them, but I certainly want to echo the administrator's compliments to our staff. When most people were celebrating with family or going to parties or doing things, they were working really hard, and they're still working to fix some of the busted pipes. So appreciate all the staff. I also want to make a point. Over the last 10 years or so, the city of Pensacola, Escambia County, has done numerous New Year's Eve parties downtown, and this year we haven't done it. I don't believe we did it last year, and I had the opportunity to celebrate New Year's Eve in Mobile, Alabama. And I just want to say, I think Pensacola, I think Escambia County, I think downtown Pensacola, we need to bring back a celebration that the entire community can be proud of. And so, Mr. Chairman, I intend to really press that. I've already spoken with the Downtown Improvement Board. We can do what Mobile did, but we'll do it better. And we won't have a mass shooting and fights either, I hope. But with that said, I just want you to know, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be pushing that. I think we need to do that downtown. And I hope I have support from this board. Thank you.
Commissioner Bagash, you will have my full support. I've spoken with Walker Wilson at DIB and Danny Zimmerman, and Danny has put that together. So you'll find my support whenever you bring that forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, of course, I'm rolling off and Mike's on it now, and so I know that was something that we couldn't do it this year, but they had already talking about doing it for next year and bringing the Pelican drop back and everything like that. So leave it in Mike's hands.
I got a warm fuzzy because that was the first thing I brought up at the DIB, and I hadn't tucked in yet, so next year it's going to happen.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole. We appreciate your leadership.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I have a couple things I'd like to highlight. Try to get better at this at the second meeting. First thing I want to do, I want to thank the people out at Wesco. They put on a Christmas party for the seniors out there. It's Linda and Pauline, and they volunteer their time.
And as many of you know, sometimes during the holidays, some of the senior people, lonely, don't have family. There's about 120 people that showed up, and that was a very nice event on the 10th. On the 17th, the Phil Am folks out at Post 240 put on a Christmas celebration to support the Filipino families in need in our district. And we want to give Benny Burnell and that group a big thank you for that. Wreaths Across America. I've been doing this for several years. This year was probably the most profound year I've seen in about 8 years. There was hundreds, if maybe not 1,000 people out on Brankus National Cemetery, from Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, people with walkers. The Brankus National Cemetery absolutely looks beautiful. You can't even imagine. And they put out 27,000 wreaths in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that meant a lot to me, and a lot of people in our community that went out there, they got access to the base to do that, and that means a lot. I want to talk about fire engine or Fire Station 16 and EMS. So as many of you probably heard on the news, on Christmas Eve, there was an accident at Gulf Beach and Serrano Road. 5 people were in the process of dying, 3 did, 19, 20, and 41. That's a life-changing event. I was sleeping. I know a little bit about trauma, but that road is definitely a danger. It's been brought up for years. The 2 people that they saved, we need to congratulate Fire Rescue and EMS for being there. It's amazing that they saved 2 lives in that. So thank you for what you do, Fire and EMS, and for those folks out there, I appreciate that. Same thing said for the officer that died, Ray Hamilton. I know it's not our county. Tragic event for the region, though. And we need to appreciate what our police and sheriff do, and I know we all do that. I got a big thank you for several people. Natural Resources, Code Enforcement, and the Sheriff's Department. I didn't do much but push the envelope a little bit. But the people in Bio Davenport are literally love you folks now, based on that property at 501 First Street that has been a nuisance for years. And it was terribly sad. The person that lived there was a drug addict, used too many drugs. His mom had been dealing with the problem, but it devastated that street for years. And they can't thank the county enough, and I can't thank those folks as well. Congratulations to Governor DeSantis. For those of you who like him, I love him. I was at the inauguration the other day. It was wonderful, and I love living in the free state of Florida. And lastly, Happy New Year, and thank you all for letting me be part of this.
Commissioner Bender.
Thank you, Commissioner. Hey, Mike, I do know that for the Wreaths Across America, that the national organization will match the funds that the locals send up if they get it to them by January 14th. So if we could, in the next 5 days or so, if you want to go ahead and make a donation, and I've done it before too, and I'll go ahead and make one for next year. But I'm going to do 10 wreaths, which we'll turn it into 50 wreaths. If I go ahead and get that in, it's $150, and to have those done. So, but again, you can they'll match it. So I'll do that. I know I mentioned it when it was first announced, but he finally received his recognition for Lieutenant Nick Gradia, who received the 2022 Florida Professional Firefighter of the Year Award. He began his career in 2004 as a volunteer and transitioned to a full-time firefighter in 2008. I don't think we were necessarily involved in this, but I do know that David Apple, owner of Apple Market, and his family were sung the praises of Pensacola Fire Department in their response to the fire that damaged Apple Market last week. I know that anyone that's over on that east side of town knows David, knows Apple Market, and I know there was a lot of support for the store this last week, that as they remain open and work through rebuilding and repairing what was damaged. Of course, thank you for all the Public Works, Facilities Management, and Public Safety employees who worked during the cold weather and over the holidays. It's corrections, as well. We have to remain open on all those endeavors, and so we thank them for doing their job so well and for putting us first and the community first. The Bob Sykes toll numbers, we had almost a 650,000 vehicle increase over 2021, just shy of 5 million vehicles at 4,852,346 for the year. That's still 170,000 more than what we had in 2019. So it was a good year for vehicles headed out to the beach. Speaking of the beach sign will hopefully be up by our next regular board meeting in 2 weeks. I was able to see it run through the progression of lighting up and everything before Christmas. And I think the community will be happy. It's hard to believe that it's here, that it's going to be back up and working. So excited for that. And then finally, I think the county is going to be sending out a press release asking everyone to look at the broadband map that's come out. That I would say we do not feel that it's accurate. It shows there's service where there's not, and but we need your help to make sure that the FCC knows that their map is not right. Side note, they know, but even the providers know it's not right, but we have to let them know that we know that they know it's not right. So we'll be sending out a press release with some instructions and asking for you, things that you can do to show that you don't have the speeds that they say you have and things like that. And that's all part of what we're doing to try to help gain access to those areas. So just look out for that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Absolutely, I want to echo what Commissioner Bender said. That's a that's a big deal, and if everybody would take a minute to look at that FCC map and see see how it evaluates your home and see if you agree with that, because I suspect that you will not. I want to thank William Reynolds through North Escambia. William, is always very supportive of things that are good for our community and trying to help everybody move forward. And we do have that press release out now, but William actually put it out North Escambia, I believe, yesterday. Kind of urging citizens to take the time and do that as well. It's a big deal, and it will have an impact. It's it's helping. It's going to help yourself, obviously, but it's going to help Escambia County and the state of Florida advocate on a more successful level for you. I also want to thank Florida Department of Transportation. They started nearly a $5 million safety project this week in the town of Century. Right when you come, if you're headed south on 29, right when you turn into Escambia County, it's a $5 million project, nearly $5 million project that will enhance the safety of that area tremendously, and it's something that's been needed for a while. And I want to thank FDOT for getting started on it, breaking ground on that project, and congratulate Mayor Ben Boutwell of the town of Century for, successfully advocating for that, for getting going and helping me, successfully advocate on their behalf as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. I first want to thank Wes Marino and his staff and the facility staff and human services staff, and Claire Long, Leroy Williams, Carla Thompson, Jordan Palmer, all those who worked tirelessly throughout the Christmas holidays when everybody else was off work. We worked all the way up to Christmas Day, giving toys out to over 1,500 kids. And many of those staff members were off work, but they came to the community center to make sure even on Christmas morning that we were giving out toys and we were giving out clothes and we were giving out food. So I do want to thank Claire's staff, and Wes, I want to thank the facility staff because we could not have gotten those toys without them. We certainly want to thank Reverend John Powell of the Truth for Youth for his assistance, and Sue Strong of Community Caring for her support. Without them, we would not have been able to feed almost 2,000 children a nice Christmas meal, and over 1,500 individual children got Christmas because of the efforts of people out of our community centers here in Escambia County. So those staff members who were able to assist, and not only them, but the volunteers. We had so many volunteers who don't work here, and I can't call them all by name, but they care about the community, and they just wanted to make sure children were getting toys. And to Grace McCafferty, who's certainly dealing with our Hispanic communities, we thank her and her crew for making sure that those kids got an opportunity to get a toy, and to Walker Wilson and own bikes. There are hundreds and hundreds of children who have a bike this Christmas because of him. Certainly want to recognize this Friday, and I know, Robert, you're probably more involved now, but Danny Zimmerman and Pensacola Mardi Gras will be kicking off this Friday. I know we do have a commissioner that's coming in from South Florida that will be there, and I think we'll have a few other commissioners that will be a part of the blessing of the floats, and we thank Danny Zimmerman for the work that he does. But before this meeting, we certainly will be celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There are many events because of COVID. They've all been postponed. I'm certainly excited about January the 14th at the Brownsville Community Center, when the legend Reverend H.K. Matthews, who was unjustly incarcerated for standing up for African Americans here in Pensacola, will be at the Brownsville Community Center on January the 14th as we do the Living the Dream Award. And we're very honored that Elizabeth Effort of the Little Rock Nine, a group of 9 African American students who desegregated Little Rock Central High School in 1957, will be there with H.K. Matthews at the Brownsville Community Center on January the 14th. And it's an honor that we'll be honoring John Albritton, who created the Albritton and Gant Baby Rattlers, and John Chandler, who created the Pensacola Tigers, will be 2 of the recipients as we do the Motown tribute to those who are living the legacy in the dream and making a difference in our community. So we invite people there, and also the commemoration on Sunday, January the 15th. I believe it's at the Greater Union Baptist Church, and then the parade will be at 11 o'clock here at downtown, beginning on Spring Street. So we look forward to seeing the community and all of our friends to participate in the Martin Luther Jr. King events on the MLK weekend. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to reiterate the praise for the staff one more time. From Public Works, who was out in the cold, icing, sanding bridges. Our emergency manager, Travis Tompkins, who was working out ahead of the event, already working with our community partners to come through the weekend, pretty successful. And then so an area that kind of goes unseen and unheard is our water quality division with Brent Whiff, Tim Day, and they have done quite a bit of water quality testing around Bayou Davenport, Bayou Grand, in the Navy Point area in the last week, and they really hit the street, and they really showed out and showed up. And I appreciate them, so thank you.
Thank you. Proclamations. Chair will entertain adoption of the ratification.
Move the proclamation.
Second.
Please vote.
Aye.
Pass 5 in favor. We're raising our hand, if you're sure. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take item B.
Got to be old to get that.
I'd like to
Yeah, you
take
got to be
item-
old to get that.
That's a powerful
first.
marketing campaign that sticks, though.
Yeah, powerful marketing campaign that sticks, Robert, if you're sure. Just raise your hand.
The Employee of the Month, congratulating John Laxney, Human Resources Personnel Clerk in the Human Resources Department. If y'all come forward, and Director DeDura will make that presentation.
And whereas John Lashney, Human Resource Personnel Clerk in the Human Resources Department, began his employment with the county in November 21. And whereas Mr. Lashney guides department supervisors on how to submit, edit, and improve employee time cards, build custom reports, and submit job requisitions through the UKG system. He also assists county personnel in the UKG system by teaching them how to view pay stubs, apply for positions, updating personal information, as well as several other inquiries regarding their account. And whereas John creates new hire badges in response to inquiries regarding access levels, he maintains the personnel file room, coordinated the digitization of personnel records in HR by participating in vendor demonstrations, receiving proposals, creating spreadsheets that outline the cost of services offered by vendors to determine which would be the most cost-effective and would best suit the needs of the Human Resources Department. And whereas John Lashney worked with the Public Safety and Information Technology departments to create a report of emergency assignments of county personnel by adding emergency assignment sections in the employee profile and importing the information from Excel to the UKG system. He also built a report in UKG to indicate which employees were in safety-sensitive or CDL positions to assist in facilitating random drug screenings. And whereas John is always upbeat and is dedicated to his duties while working with departments countywide, his leadership always receives positive feedback, and he uses a practical and data-driven approach to deliver excellent customer service with all employees within the county, as well as our constituents. And whereas John is an active member of First Pentecostal Church of Pensacola, he plays guitar in the music department for services, conferences, and revivals. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, recognizes and congratulates John Lashney on his selection as Employee of the Month for January 2023. Signed, Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Luman J. May, Chairman, District 3. Stephen Berry, Vice Chairman, District 5. Jeff Bergosh, District 1. Mike Kohler, District 2. Robert Bender, District 4. Congratulations.
Well, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, as you can tell, we had a lot to do with UKG last year. I just want to say that it really is an honor to be selected among many of the great employees of this county. Now, to thank everybody else, up first I want to say thank you to my supervisor, Trishonda Eli, and my department director, Ms. Tadura, and Mr. Walker, my deputy director, for nominating me for this. Also, I'd like to thank my HR staff, that my other coworkers that have really been very supportive of me since I came in last year. They've always been willing to lend a helping hand and have my back in a variety of things. Also with UKG, it's not just HR that works with that system. There are many different components that, that go into that. And there's a few people that I would like to thank. Nikki Powell, Peter Haupt, Krista Reuter, and Jesse Dowd. Thank you guys for being, for helping me achieve this goal. This past year has been an amazing year of my career, and I look forward to having many more great years with this county. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're just, we ratified C on the vote, correct? That was that motion? So it sounds great. So we'll go written communication.
We got item A, Employee of the Year.
No, I'm sorry, Wes. Okay. Go ahead, Wes.
All right, I'd like to ask Mr. Andrew Tutton, Scott McDonald, and Commissioner Kohler to the podium and for the presentation of Employee of the Year for 2022.
Okay, well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming. You deserve to be up here with me. It's a little- One of the coolest things about being in any leadership position is being able to recognize great people. And obviously, you did some great things for the county. We're going to hear about them here shortly. But I appreciate you asking me to read this, and you should be very happy with your son's accomplishments, Scott. So I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the Escambia County has established an Employee of the Year program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments. And whereas Andrew Tutton began his employment with the county on February 25th, 2020, and became a network coordinator in the Information Technology Department. And whereas Andrew was selected for Employee of the Month for August 2022 for the standards of excellence that he displayed in the performance of his duties. And whereas Andrew leads our network team and is responsible for designing, installing, and troubleshooting network systems to meet the functional objectives of the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners, including all network routers, switches, firewalls, wireless access points that connect employees to their files, applications, and securely to the internet. He is also responsible for the implementation and maintenance of network management software, change management and architectural documentation, researching, analyzing, and implementing software patches of hardware changes to fix any network deficiencies. And whereas Andrew was instrumental in changing out the data network infrastructure and led the projects to install public Wi-Fi to 40 county parks and community centers, this included the addition of Palo Alto's firewall management platform, Panorama, and allows us to securely manage over 50 firewalls deployed across the county. Andrew is a key member of the cybersecurity team. He continually reinforces our security posture by locking down our network and immediately patching vulnerable systems on the cybersecurity team. He is a local agency security officer and the Board of County Commission and is currently managing the Criminal Justice Information System technical audit by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for the jail. He is also responsible for the operations of the network system for the soccer tournament held at the Ashton Brosnan Park and recently assisted the state attorney's office by configuring their network connecting to FDLE. And whereas Andrew was the following certifications: Cisco, CCNA, Juniper, JNCSA, CompTIA Security, and is working on achieving the Palo Alto Network Certified Network Security Administration, PCNSA. Boy, you do a lot. And whereas Andrew has built a great relationship with his department and is able to assist in various projects, he never opposes working after hours to make network changes and is always searching for solutions to improve and protect our security posture, which demonstrates his unmeasurable value to Escambia County and its residents. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, commends and congratulates Mr. Mark Andrew Tutton on his selection as Employee of the Year for 2020. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Luman May, Chairman, District 3, Stephen Berry, Vice Chairman, District 5, Jeff Bergosh, District 1, Mike Kohler, District 2, Robert Bender, District 4. Very well done. Good job. I hear there's some extra coins here. You get that? You know, this is what I'm proud of. Appreciate it. You did a good job. And then when you get up there and do it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board. I just wanted to thank the members of my team who make my work possible, Michael Lee and Robert Carlin, and also Scott McDonald for his leadership in the department. I was able to achieve that PCNSA in October, so I was able to get that. And also like to say that I feel very honored to be able to support my community through my work. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say, the SEC soccer tournament was a pretty big deal for us, and we could have had a pretty critical failure, and Mr. Tutton was out there early, got up early, was there bright and early, and by the time everybody got there, had all the systems back online, and when they ran flawlessly, and nobody ever knew it. So I appreciate him for that effort.
Thank you.
Sure. First, I'd like to thank the commissioner for reading that long proclamation. I don't know if I could have got through it, without shedding a tear, but I also just want to thank the board for acknowledging Andrew's hard work. He normally works in the background, and so a lot of times, like network people don't get the recognition that he's not in the limelight, but I just wanted to thank you again, and I appreciate it.
Thanks again. Great job. Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it.
Do we have anything else? We good? All right.
Madam Counsel, we're going to go ahead and start with written communication.
Commissioners, the first written communication. We walked through the fact pattern this morning. This is a request that stems out of a code enforcement case at 7201 North Palafox. That particular property is fine. It doesn't appear to be in violation at this point. The problem is the owner violator at that time has 5 other properties that lien has now spiderwebbed onto, and Advanced Realty Concepts, Inc., through its agent, Mr. Dale Register, is asking for relief from the lien on those 5 properties. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Madam Counsel. We do have a speaker. If the board would entertain that before discussion. Yes. Thank you. Dale Register of Advanced Realty Concepts. Please. You can come forward, sir. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Roger Dale Register. My address is 5607 Ballybunion Drive in Pace, Florida.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
And as you said, can I put something up on the screen?
Absolutely. Yeah, can we help him? It's not electronic? Can you just hand it to, can you hand it to us? Dale, can you go?
Flash drive to get it there, but I can hand this to them. Is that okay?
Well,
Yeah. Dale, your time's ticking, so we'll ask you to go ahead and proceed.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Wow. This started back in 1970. I won the lottery. I was number 23, drafted, sent to Vietnam, where I stayed 356 days and nights, long nights. And my life changed forever. I do have a mental illness, but it's not stupidity. I'm a 73-year-old.
Dale, I don't want to rush you, but your time has exceeded, so would you kind of bring it to
I
an
was told
end?
I had 5 minutes.
No,
but-
sir. No, sir. No. But I'm going to give you another minute, but no, you don't have 5.
I'm a 73-year-old, 100% disabled, wounded veteran from the Vietnam War. I have seen and caused death during wartime. I have PTSD, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. Because of my illness, I see things different than most folks. I believe I have been done an injustice. I gave you the handout dictating what code enforcement has said over the period of time that they found me guilty of something. When you look at the handout, you'll see that over 50%, 5 of all certified mailings to me were returned. It says attempted, not known, unable to forward. How could I did have one mailing that said, yes, you signed for a certified mail. Before that date, they didn't know my address. After that date, then again, they didn't know my address. I don't understand how they would have changed the thing in the system and not had the same address at the same time. Code enforcement officer, Mr. Miller and McVeigh, represented that my mail was being sent to a closed post office. It was mentioned by Officer Reaver that he did not remove debris, and at times he did remove debris, and at times he demonstrated did not demonstrate any of the vehicles that were being operated. Mr. Beasley claimed in his order that the purpose, the property was zoned and grandfathered in as auto repair and sales. He said because I put a sailboat on the property that was the expansion of use. I have a statement, which I just gave you, that says the previous owner sold not only boats, but motor homes, travel trailers.
Dale, you're going to have to finish it up, sir. Your time's up.
I think this is ridiculous.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I think Terrence, Officer Davis sent us some information about the five, was that about the 5 properties that Mr. registered?
Yes, sir.
And they were all within compliance?
Yes,
at this
sir.
time? Okay.
Great. That's the question. Robert, you had questions this morning?
I did. I mean, it seems the other properties are in compliance, and
That is correct.
did he even say no violations on those?
No violation on those properties.
Coach Sherrill, entertain a motion.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, it's, I don't know if it's either near or there about if it was delivered. I mean, I believe he attended the hearing. I mean, the property that was in violation has been sold, seems a couple times over.
Yeah, I mean, the property that's attached, and that's kind of why I've yielded to you guys, because it's not necessarily in my district, because the liens were removed from that one that's in my district, but it's the other 5, and I think that's probably how they push them off, though, that there are 5 properties that are attached to it. So, it's outside of District 3, so I will yield to you guys, because it's attached to your properties. So I'll entertain a motion from one of you guys whose district it represents.
Would, just for board discussion, I mean, would we typically waive the fees on the owner violator for these other properties?
I mean, I don't think it's precedent. I think we've done it both ways. I mean, I guess my question would be, Lieutenant, he said that you guys said that y'all contacted him 6 times, and he said he never received it.
I believe his argument is prior to hearing that there was and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but that there was an issue with him possibly getting notice of the violations and such prior to the hearing. And I think that's what his issue is, and he felt like process wasn't rendered then. But mailings and all that we have, and according to what the business Sunbiz reports gave us back between 2007 and 2010, the same address, mailing address, everything was the same that we sent to. And according to state law, state statute, we have to send it to wherever the property appraiser tax office requires us. And so we did that diligently. But he was able to get to, at some point, the hearing process, which is where he did an appeal.
But we
attempted
waived it
appeal
on
for circuit court.
7201 in 2007.
Sir?
We waived it in 2007.
In 2012, a subsequent owner, the Lovatos, came before the board, and you all, in exchange for $1,100 payment from them, you waived the administrative fines.
So the property's changed hands?
The one in your district, 7201, has changed hands at least twice since the violation, but because he was the owner violator at the time of the code enforcement problem, it spider webs off to the other owner violators' real estate.
Yeah, that's a little convoluted. That was kind of passed on.
So the subsequent owner of 7201 came before you guys, you allowed them to have relief from those fines. But that's still out there because the idea is that somebody's responsible. That's the idea.
Yeah, they must have quitclaimed them over rather than getting a warranty deed when they did the properties, because they couldn't have gotten a warranty deed had they had the liens attached to it, correct?
I have it here somewhere.
Yeah, they must have quitclaimed it.
There was, yep, the Lovatos received the property through a special warranty deed from the owner violator. They then cleaned up the property, brought it into compliance, and the board granted them partial release in March of 2012. Then, after that, the Lovatos in turn sold it to IED Investments. That's the current owner of 7201. So 7201 is kind of off the
Yeah, and the investment
off
company
the
came in
plate.
and bought that, yeah, I'll see, yeah. So, Jeff, I mean, what do you want to do, Robert, what do you want to do?
What is the grand total that we, and how much of it are hard costs?
Right, so there's $550 in hard costs.
Okay.
But remember, you did get $1,100 from the Lovatos in 2012. But, you know, for whatever this is worth, the lien itself, we consider to be $550 in hard costs and $28,300 in administrative fines, for a total of $28,850. You have discretion to do what you wish.
Okay. Well, what we've done in the past is we've waived the administrative fines, but we've always collected the hard costs. But in this particular instance, we've already collected $1,100 on that property. So, and his other 5 properties we found out from today are all within compliance. So my motion would be that we grant the request and just waive the administrative fines and the hard costs, because they've already been paid on this property.
But leave on the $550 court costs.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. With the addition of, my motion would include the 550 court costs.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
absolutely.
that's an additional court cost.
That would be my motion.
So we have a motion to waive.
Commissioner Bergosh, you're saying collect the 550 and waive the rest? Correct. Okay, I can second that.
So we have a motion and a second, please vote. Passes 5 in favor. You had a good day, sir.
Very much.
Uh-huh. All right, Allison?
And the second case for this evening, 1530 North P Street. This is also one we discussed this morning, where the owner violator is Lucinda Martin, but this is the case where she's claiming that her tenant was the difficult party that caused the issues and problems at the real estate, and looks like she's here to discuss it further.
Cindy, I think you'd be satisfied with the motion that I'm going to make, but if you still want to speak, go right ahead.
Okay. Good evening.
Well, you might speak yourself out of it, but go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone on the board. My name is Lucinda Martin. I reside at 4415 DeVille Way. I submitted a letter dated November 18, 2022, asking for partial property lien forgiveness, and I'm just wondering if you guys can help me. I'm hoping you can, because the CDC's.
Cindy, I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to make a motion in your favor because I've been a part of this. So if you would just wait and let me make the motion, I think you'd be happy after this discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to make the motion.
Okay. All right, well, the chair entertain a motion.
All right, I move to waive all of the fines, court cost abatement fines for the property.
We have a motion.
Second.
Please vote. Aye. I'm thinking. Pastor Nan, you had a good day, Miss Cindy. Thank you. Madam Attorney?
There's one more, but I was told by, yes, that we're dropping the third one to bring back at a later date.
That is correct. Thank you so much. Did the clerk's office receive proof of publication for the public hearings on the agenda and the board weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Thank you so much. The chair entertain a motion.
Waive the reading.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Please vote. All right, passes 5 unanimous. Director Jones.
Good afternoon. For tonight, GMR, we have the 545 public hearing concerning.
Wait, sorry.
I'm sorry. What did I do?
531 public hearing.
531 public hearing.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Robert. Thank you. 531 public hearing. No speakers? Well, no speakers?
Move the 531 public hearing,
Second.
A, B, and C.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Passes unanimous. I apologize. Thanks, Robert. Clerk and Comptroller's report.
Thank you. I have 2 items on the consent agenda. The first one is the TDT collections for October of '22. The second is November of '22. The third is minutes and reports that we've prepared. An update on audits. The financial audit is ongoing. We have about 6 more weeks of field work, and then the auditors will give a report. The TDT audit field work has been completed. There's a preliminary report to be discussed with the state. The final will be out probably in 30 days. Thank you.
Move the clerk's report.
Second.
Please vote. Passes 5 unanimous. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Growth Management report.
Yes, sir. For tonight, we have the 545 public hearing concerning the issuance of an operational permit for resource extraction expansion for an active and existing borrow pit known as Divine Farms,
Mr.
A and B.
Board, we do have about 8 or 9 speakers. Would y'all entertain the speakers first? Thank you so much. First speaker is Robert Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Robert Ward, 872 West 9.5 Mile Road, Pensacola. I'm here representing Sand and Dirt Incorporated. They're the current operators of this pit. The ownership is still retained by Mr. Devine, as well as the operational permit. Mr. Devine's engineer is present, Mr. McGuire. I'm here for Sand and Dirt Incorporated. We have about another month and a half worth of digging in the existing permit before we have to pull out. Sand and Dirt is a Campbell family business. It's associated with CNC Hauling, American Concrete Supply. South Alabama Materials is a well-experienced, well-maintained company. I think since we have taken over the operation of the pit, that things have improved. Our pit manager is present. He can speak to the issues that he's covered. We had a dirt spillage on the road. The manager cleaned it up. This week we had a garbage can that was run over by an independent driver. The manager took care of that, cleaned it up.
Mr. Ward, will you start closing? You got about 15 seconds.
Yeah. We need this expansion.
Yes,
please, sir. If we don't get it, we're going to have to move out.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Ben Watson.
Good evening. My name is Ben Watson. I live at 3217 Margaret Olivia Drive in the Brookhaven development, right behind the borrow pit in Cantonment. I have some concerns about the expansion of the borrow pit, some of which the water runoff that I've experienced with the last rainfall within the Phase 3 construction in Brookhaven. And I also have concerns about the bridge on Farm Divine Road that used to have a weight limit of 20 tons, but after Hurricane Sally, it's diminished a little bit, so I'm not really sure what the actual load capacity of the bridge is. The county does have a project that may be funded this year or start this year, but as it stands now, dump trucks are actually tearing up the road. It just wasn't meant for the design for 25 to 30 tons of payload constantly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Maydeen. Yes, ma'am. I apologize. That's what they handed me. I apologize. Dave Zumwalt. I apologize, Maydeen. You got on the one she's on.
Good evening, Chair and Board. I'm David Zumwalt. I also live in the Brookhaven subdevelopment at 3537 Conley Drive. Like the previous speaker, I have incredible concerns for this Burrow Pit expansion. My son and I pick up trash on a regular basis. Most of them are beer bottles that we have physically seen these drivers throw out their window, and the road and the bridge are not designed for these endless amounts of trucks that go up and down this road. We've been here for over a little bit of a year at Station at Corey. My house backs up against Divine Farm Road, and on a Saturday, we've counted no less than 24 dump trucks. And we've seen them dump out beer cans, we've seen them drive on the shoulder, we've seen the county come out and try to repair the road that is constantly being eroded by these dump trucks. So That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Our next speaker will be Renee Pierre Robinson.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Renee Pierre Robinson. I am also a resident of the Brookhaven subdivision. I have concerns for our safety because of that Divine Farms Road. I'm also on the back end. My backyard is on Divine Farms. The roads, the large trucks ride in the middle of the road. The road is very small. The sides of the roads are damaged. If you're coming out, school buses, children, you have to literally wait because those large trucks do not get out of the way. They don't move to the side. You have to just let them go by. With the time change, they're out there earlier, before day in the morning, dark. You can hear them going up and down. I feel like the expansion will just increase that, and I feel like it's a safety hazard.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker will be Amanda Pierce, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Pierce. I'm also a resident in the Brookhaven subdivision. I've lived there going on 2 years, and in the short amount of time that me and my family have lived there, we have had several instances where our cars have come into very close contact with the dump trucks that are going up and down Divine Farms all day, every day, Monday through Friday. I will say this, I think some of the drivers are genuinely doing the best that they can to try and get up and down the road. If you've never driven on Divine Farms, I suggest maybe try to take a drive out there. It's pretty narrow. The bridge is even more narrow than the road. The drivers of these trucks have to drive off the side of the road or they're going to hit the oncoming traffic. That is causing the side shoulder of our road to crumble. In the 2 years that I have lived there, I have seen 4 different attempts for them to repair the side shoulder of our road. It continually is crumbling. There's a large drop off on one side, and so the repairs just continue to slide off into the dirt. The bridge itself, currently they have a project to repair it. There was an inspector out looking at the work as I came here tonight. The supports of the bridge are washing out, and the weight of these trucks, I have to believe, is having an impact on that. It's our one way to get to our homes. It is our only way to go to work, to take our kids to school, to go get food for our families, and a lot of us have a grave concern what we're going to do if that bridge washes out. We ask you to consider another point of access for that pit.
Thank you, ma'am. Jerry McGuire? No speak?
Well, I'm the engineer of record.
Okay, do you want to speak, Jerry? It's up to you.
Yeah, Jerry McGuire, JMA Engineering Services, Pace, Florida. I'm the engineer of the pit for the original permitting, the last 2 expansions and this expansion. This expansion is for 11.26 acres, and it just takes out the full pit dig out is what it amounts to. There's a big buffer around the entire perimeter to save all the trees. But yeah, there are concerns about the roads. I understand that, and the bridge. I understand there's also a county project at some status, I'm not sure what stage it's at, to replace the bridge. It may be a good time to also look at doing an upgrade to the road from at least from the bridge to the subdivision entrance. Past the subdivision entrance, it's just down to the pit, nothing else. No need to touch it. All right?
Thanks, Jerry. Good to see you. Kerry Green?
Hello.
Hey, good evening. Thank you for hearing our concerns tonight. So my name is Carrie Green. I live at 3464 Blaney Drive in that Brookhaven subdivision. My family and I have lived there for over 2 years, and so over that time, a lot of my concerns really mimic the previous residents that have been up here, is that we've been sharing the roads with these large dump trucks, and it's just not outfitted for that. They do their best to get off on the side of the road. However, all the repairs that the county does to kind of shore up the shoulders of that road then get destroyed because of the weight of the dump truck. So it's just kind of like a never-ending cycle. The bridge is also a very real concern because that is our only entry in and out. And with that 3rd phase of the subdivision going in, there's just going to be even more traffic. For the first, I want to say 6 months that we lived there, my daughter had to walk to the school bus stop at the very end of Divine Farm Roads when we lived in Brookhaven. So it's a safety concern there as well. Since then, they've moved it into the subdivision, but with more homes going in, that's just kind of an ongoing concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's all our speakers. Commissioner Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of y'all may remember, as Jerry McGuire alluded to, it's an issue that's come to the board a couple of times over the last few years. You know, we did have considerable issues with, with the way the pit was being run a few years ago. You know, there were multiple complaints that were substantiated related to, the behavior of some of the drivers, kind of playing fast and loose with the rules. There weren't, all the loads weren't being covered all of the time. That wasn't being required. There was a lot of speeding up and down the road. Like I said, these complaints were substantiated. So either 2 or 3 years ago when the pit came for an expansion, and just a little bit of history, the family that still owns the pit has owned the real property, I don't know, Jerry may know, 80 years, 70 years before. Roughly 80 years. 80 years before the interstate construction. Interstate construction actually took a portion of the family's property. There's been dirt extraction on the property for 40 years, 30.
Since the late 50s.
Oh, that long? Okay. I knew at least since I was driving, so it's an activity that's been going on for for many decades there. But like I said, we had concerns with the way it was being run a few years ago. I think that that's one reason. Per land development code and the rules, they certainly have every ability to operate this facility there. With the time frame that they've been operating, they certainly have the ability to operate there. But what we had done previously was relatively small expansions of the operation, kind of in good faith to ensure some better behavior, rather than while a request might have been for for a 60-acre expansion. I think we might have done 5 acres or 8 acres, and then maybe 10 acres a year later. So there was trying to build some goodwill back with the operation. I mean, we want things to be done the right way. The throwing of things from the trucks, and I can't quite see the back of the room, but Mr. Ward identified the person that's operating the pit now is in attendance. I'm going to hope that he's going to take those comments and have a conversation with the folks that utilize the pit. I see him hold his hand up. And we will continue to manage and oversee the operations there. The bridge project has begun. I believe that they are out there working now. We'll continue to address the road. It's a concern when you go to develop the multi-phase project like Brookhaven. You're trying to fit new projects into existing operations and existing infrastructure. So that's a challenge, but we are, we're catching up. The bridge project is long overdue, so that's a good thing. What's being asked tonight, I believe, equates to about 11 acres total. 8 point something acres is on the southernmost piece of the property, closest to the interstate, and then there's 2.5 acres that's kind of on the northern side. That's a little closer to that would be, as a crow flies, closer to the neighborhood. I don't remember exactly when Mr. Campbell took over the operation. It seems like it was the summertime-ish, 6 to 8 months, give or take. And I will say, outside of concerns about expansion of this issue, we have not received any of the same type of complaints that we had received years ago about the behavior of the drivers. We're certainly going to address the throwing of trash and debris onto the road, but we've not received complaints about operation outside of the proper times, not having covered loads, speeding up and down the road. I mean, we had to ask FHP to go out and shoot radar a couple of years ago. We're not having those things, so that's a good thing. And I know it's not it's not exactly what Mr. Ward nor Mr. McGuire may be looking for, but what I'm prepared to move and ask the board to support tonight is to allow the expansion to the 8 acres that is closest to the 8.6 acres that's closest to the interstate on the southern piece of the property, and not allow the expansion to the kind of out parcel that's on the northern piece that's going to be closer to the residents. So this will be an expansion as far away from the residents and the development as we can be. This is going to be the property that's directly adjacent to the interstate. And that's going to be my motion, approve the expansion onto that 8 acres closest to the interstate, but not the other.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion, Commissioner Berry.
We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, can I just ask a question? For whatever speaker can, so I think we were said that there was about a month and a half left. And I know that, I think we previously sorry, I just lost my voice here. 14 acres last time, I think.
Perhaps.
Something like, how long would, if you got the full thing, how long would it take? I'm happy to support the commissioner's motion. I'm just looking to say, how long would that prolong the operations?
Yeah,
So we did 14 acres 2 years ago, and we're being told that it has about a month and a half left. So I'm just saying, does that mean there's probably 2 years worth of?
Roughly, a lot of it depends on the market, and if the housing industry goes down, less need for dirt, it would slow down, okay? But yeah, it'd probably be 2 years max on that at the rate it's going now. And all, but like I say, the 11.29 left is just, that's the whole pit. It's over with after that point in time. But they've moved, I think, roughly a little bit over 400,000 yards in 22, okay? So they can move quite a bit of dirt. The thing about the south end there by the interstate, that's a low end. So it's not a very deep dig to get material out, okay? So,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with your request. I have just one comment. One of your neighbors, Melissa Ambrosi, works out there. The only two concerns I have is that I know she picks up trash. She was my secretary, and she showed it to me. So, and she's a very diligent person. I know you know her. She doesn't lie. The developer needs to make sure that people aren't throwing trash out there and be good citizens of this neighborhood. And the other thing, I asked Wes, and I don't know, just in that neighborhood, maybe useful to put some deterrent signs out, no littering. The road, I think the county has a responsibility to maintain. But I understand the developer's position as well.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Please vote. Passes 5 unanimous. Thank you. Horace?
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is the final plat approval for Sutton Place.
Do you have any speakers? We have no speakers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move the recommendation A through D.
Thank you.
All right, I do have a second for discussion then.
All right, discussion.
Madam Attorney, is this the one that we were told had?
So it turns out that it's not a delinquent situation, so I'm fine.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. If no more discussion, please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Thank you. Horace?
Then we have the consent agenda for February the 2nd, 2020.
Chair will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Move the consent agenda.
We have a motion.
Second.
So please vote.
Aye.
That passes 5 unanimous. Thank you so much. County Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 7 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Please make the following changes. Drop car 1-1. There are no speakers.
And the chair entertain a motion for the balance.
Move the balance.
Second.
So please vote.
Aye.
That's 5 in favor. Thank you so much.
There are 23 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please hold for speakers. Car 2-2, car 2-14, car 2-18, and car 2-16.
Thank you. The chair entertain a motion for the balance.
Move the balance. And Mr. Chairman, so
Yes.
does this include the discretionary 500 for Commissioner May? Was that added or is that an add-on?
I see it on the agenda as item 24 for the Sisters of Hope.
It should be
Yes,
on.
it is a part, okay.
I would say
All
it's
right, I
part of
move
it.
the balance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Berry.
It's CAR 2-24.
Okay.
We have one speaker on car 2-2, Chris Kerb.
I'm all for this. Reason I wanted to speak on it is this is what I mentioned at public forum, being very proactive with your watershed approach, your basin study approach. Carpenter's Creek was one of your restore projects that you just recently completed a master plan on, and I believe this is one of those projects out of that master plan. That's the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to do a study on your basin, come up with your projects, and fund it, as opposed to the Scenic Hills Basin in that the Outpost Bayou and the Wood Run subdivision is. That one never got funded up until recently, just one of the bridges. But I'm all for this. Thank you.
Thanks. Would the chair entertain a motion?
We have items A through D.
We have a motion. Second, please vote.
Aye.
That passes 5 unanimous. Wes?
Mr. Chairman, we have 3 speakers on Car 2-14. The first will be Shirley Tinley, with Ralph Tinley on deck.
Yes, it's been a long time since we've had to start this process, and I would really would appreciate if you could go ahead and push this through so that we can start getting this flooding issue taken care of, and it will help a lot, about 10 houses up and down the block.
Thank you, Ms. Tinley.
Thank you.
Ralph Tinley.
Please pass this. Thanks, Ralph.
Chris Kerr.
Hopefully you can be that short.
Yeah, I'm in support of this as well. I did want to make a little comment on it. That there's about a 3-acre bowl, drainage bowl on Renee Terrace. And yeah, in Santa Rosa County, they have on their GIS map, they have flood problem areas. And it's based off of basin studies. It's based off of input from the road department and the engineering department. And those areas are identified on their maps, and then when permits come in, they kind of put the brakes on a little bit. They don't necessarily stop some of them because people have property rights to develop their property. But if there would have been a basin study out here on Inready Point Road for the whole area, then you might have this area identified on a map, and then the 2 houses that got built out there maybe wouldn't have got built, and you may have had a plan that had a stormwater pond already being proactive for that area. Just something to think about.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you. The chair entertain a motion.
I move the item in the affirmative.
We have a motion.
Second.
Please vote.
Aye.
Passes 5 unanimous. Wes?
Car 2-18, we have 1 speaker, Chris Kerr.
You gonna get your exercise in.
Yeah, this is a good one too. And by the way, Commissioner Bergosh, thank you for the funding on the discretionary funding.
We had to get it done.
Oakville Acres, Commissioner, this is your district. I believe this is your 2nd project for the Oakville Acres area.
Thank you for your help, Chris.
And this is a good example where we have a basin study done, and properties were identified for potential pond sites, and now we're coming back going, well, those sites won't work, so we got a new pond site. But if y'all could update your basin study for your first project that you approved, I believe it was last year, for the Bell Mead, Monarch, and Hancock, White Oak Drive area, which this fits into, that'd be great. But thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Chair entertain a motion. Second. Please vote.
Aye.
Pass unanimous.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify who made the
Commissioner Berry
motion?
and Commissioner Bergosh.
Thank you
Commissioner
so
Berry
much.
made the motion.
Thank you so
Commissioner
much.
Bergosh second.
Thank you.
Anything Chris Kerr brings, they'll pass it. Wes?
We have 1 speaker for Car 2-16, May Dean.
I'm sorry, I thought it did.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Commissioners. I support the motion to move forward with the completion of the Perdido Key multi-use path. I hope the county, this is the 9th year the Perdido Key Association has supported the construction of this sidewalk. I hope that the county can commit to the completion of the sidewalk this year. the safety of the pedestrians of Perdido Key depends on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Nadine, and thanks for all the things you do for the Rosamond Johnson when we're out there, so I appreciate what you're doing in Perdido. Thanks. Chair will entertain a motion.
Yeah, and before I make the motion, I will let the speaker know that we're definitely pushing forward with that. We had a little issue with the solicitation. In fact, I just spoke today with the administrator, and we're going to rectify that, and that's going to be a project that gets done, along with additional beach access and additional parking. Just wait for it, it's coming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hold me to it. I move item 16, A, B, C, and D.
Thank you. We have a motion second, please vote.
Aye.
That passes 5 unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Bagash.
Yeah.
Director Marino.
Mr. Chairman, if we might, I know we already voted on it at the consent stage, and I just want to thank, I think it's pretty big, I probably should have held it, but without objection, I would like to say thank you to my counterparts. Item number 22 is a big, big deal, $4.2 million project, quality of life project for the west side, our Perdido boat ramp on southern Perdido Bay. It's a big deal, 39 acres. It's going to be a fantastic park. It's been a struggle, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all the staff of engineering, all the staff from environmental, all the permits we had to get, and the way we cobbled this thing together over years and years and years. I mean, it has been a project that's been in process for probably 5, 6, 7 years. So tonight, we just awarded the contract, and we're going to build that. So stay tuned for the groundbreaking. It's coming. So it's another great thing the county's doing, and I just appreciate the support of this board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Bagash.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
Jeff, thanks for working with us on that. I know we didn't change anything. Hopefully, we can stay on them better than we did at the pier.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, I know. So I hope they realize the seriousness of this and stay on it. Yep.
We're going to drop the discussion items.
Yeah, I need a motion to drop both discussion items.
Drop
under
both
R3.
items.
Second.
So please vote to drop both.
Aye.
Yep. That passes 5 unanimous. Thank you so much. That's it, Madam Attorney?
It's an information item. I don't need action on it.
Great. Well, if we have nothing, we stand adjourned.
How about that? How about that?